What's going on, guys? My name is Rumble Skrash. In today's video we're gonna be trying to predict a Pyro Rumble match. So when I say predict, the first thing that I want to say is obviously I'm not gonna be able to predict if I'm gonna win or lose a certain match, but at least I'm gonna try to predict the early game, which is the quote unquote the easiest to do. So at least the first 15 seconds should be able to, yeah, excluding some RNG, I should be able to predict a little bit what's gonna be happening, and we're gonna be trying to guess what the outcome of the match will be. But you also have to count some RNG mechanics like the placement of the units, the knockback, the miss, and stuff like that, and the targeting of the specials too. So I'm gonna be basically using this variation of the slasher team, which I find is really interesting. It's using Raid Mihawk, and the Raid Mihawk is completely maxed. We are gonna be going against the 6-man slasher team with B3 Law, so the pretty strong standard slasher team, and I'm gonna be trying to find a slasher team which has Dofi in the spot where he takes the most damage. So in the defense, that's the first spot, because it's gonna be affecting what we are gonna be trying to predict. So at least I wanna get that clear. Now, this video will actually be kind of a follow-up of the two-part guide that I actually uploaded. So if you haven't checked out my guides, go check that out. The first one, I'm gonna link it here on top. It's about how damage is calculated and a little bit other stat buffs and stuff. But also the most important thing in that video, I would say, it's like the damage calculator, so that you are able to know both with a normal attack and a special attack how much damage you're going to be dealing to a certain unit, depending on the defense that that certain unit has. And the second part of the guide that I'm going to be linking here on top, is actually probably the most important one if you want to understand better this video. It's about how the speed works and the order of attacks and stuff like that. So really interesting how all of that works, but without further ado, let's start with this guide. So first of all, we're gonna have to look at some very important info on the character. So the first thing is the targeting. So as you can see, Odin targets the enemy with the highest speed, and there's another unit with weird targeting patterns which actually targets the enemy with highest attack. So actually these kind of weird targetings are better if you want to predict stuff, because that will mean that you know which unit is gonna be attacking, no matter the placing or stuff like that. And these other three units target the closest enemies, as you can see. Now I have actually listed all these stats, like the important ones, the defense and the speed, so that we're gonna be able to actually know at every moment what stats does the unit have. In terms of attack, as you can see, my Roger has 3000 to 250 attack, and my Odin has a little bit lower attack than that. So the enemy Kizaru is actually going to be targeting my Roger instead of my Odin, so that's something you want to keep in mind. And my Kizaru is going to be attacking either Roger or Odin, depending on the stats of the enemy team. And the other units are going to be targeting the closest units, so probably they're going to be targeting, at least in the first 10 seconds, the Dofi, because Dofi is going to be, as I said, in the first spot, so where it takes the most damage. If it wasn't there, then they would be targeting the unit that was in the first spot. So here I have listed some important info. As you already know, all the slashers, the team slashers with Roger and Kizaru have special city up level 11. So they have a 55 extra speed, because every level of speed is 5 extra speed. So I have actually listed all the speed that that my units have, and the speed that the enemy units have. So the speed doesn't really change with or without Mihawk and Law, but well, Law has 220, and as you can see in my team, there's all the information that you need, both for my units and the enemy units. Now in terms of defense, I have not counted the defense up buffs, because it depends on the moment where they activate. It's gonna be changing a little bit, but the important thing here is the CT. So both of these teams have a special CT up level 9 for all the units, except for the enemy team that has special CT up level 15 for the Psy unit. So as you can see, my Roger activates in 24.6. Now I have been testing it a little bit, and I have been seeing that sometimes the game rounds up these numbers, and I'm gonna be using the approximation where if it's over zero point 0.5, it goes to the highest second. So Roger is gonna be taking 25 seconds to activate. I'm gonna be assuming. Odin is gonna be taking only 26. Kizaru is gonna be taking only 12, and the Mihawk is gonna be taking 21. My Dofi is gonna be taking 22. So the same goes for a lot of the enemy units, but the only units that change are the side units and low. So their Roger will activate in 21 seconds, the Kizaru in 10, and the low in 24. Now at this point 5, I haven't really checked, but I think they round up to the number down, so I think it's 10 and 24, but maybe it's 11. So we're gonna be having to see that. But and when I say activate, it's not activate, it's they will charge the special. So now if the unit will be attacking and activating, it depends on the targetings and stuff like that. That's what we're gonna be trying to predict. So before we start with all the targeting and stuff and trying to predict which units are going to be attacking which at what moment, let's see just like a general idea of how this team should be working, and with the hypothesis of that every unit is going to be activating at the moment where they charge the special, how this would be going. So basically the main idea of this team is targeting two very important units in the slashers. So one is Odin, obviously, and the other one is actually Dofi. So you don't want the Dofi to activate because it's a lot of damage, and also they give themselves defense, and you don't really want that. So basically how this is working is Kizaru, as you guys saw, is gonna be probably, and normally it always happens, is the first one to attack. So we're gonna be assuming that Kizaru targets both Dofi and Odin, because well, Kizaru only doesn't target one unit, and this is a little bit where the RNG aspect comes. But I would say that if either Dofi or Odin die before activating, then you should be quite fine, I would say. And then normally, as I have been seeing, there's the Mihawk that activates and does a massive health cut. Now keep in mind that my Mihawk is actually max, so he does health cut of 43% HP, so a lot of health of damage. That it's actually helping you to maybe be able to kill Dofi, because Dofi is very tanky, but if you cut that big of a health of him down, then well, he might actually be dying. So normally that happens, like Kizaru, then Mihawk, and then the thing is you want either your Roger or your Kizaru to activate and target Dofi or Odin, because it depends on which of these two units. Odin can actually be dying with the special of Kizaru and stuff. Also keep in mind that at least in the first 10 seconds, two normal attacks will have gone to the enemy, which is in the most vulnerable spot, which is most likely gonna be Dofi. So we're gonna be trying to calculate that a little bit now with the damage calculator, and then we're gonna be talking about targetings and stuff, and when actually I think the units will be activating or not. So here I am in the damage calculator that I showcased in my the first part of the guide in Pyro Rumble. So here I'm actually calculating the damage that Kizaru will actually deal to Dofi. So here I have put the base defense of Dofi here, and then the defense up level 6 that all the slashers have now at the beginning. Now keep in mind we are in block A, so the side units are having defense above level 3, but now for the things that we are interested in, it's not gonna be that relevant. So as you can see, the special of Kizaru is gonna be dealing 921 damage, and that's gonna be probably the first special to be activating. And then we're gonna be activating the special of our Mihawk. Now keeping in mind that with the HP buff and stuff, it depends on the stats of the enemy Dofi, but the enemy Dofi will have around, at least my Dofi has around 8,600 counting the HP buff HP, And now you have to basically subtract 900 HP from that. So that is basically around 7700, around something like that. And now we're gonna be having to subtract the 43% out of that. Now, I have actually calculated it, and 43% of 7,700 around it's approximately 4,400 HP. So we only have now a Dofi with 4,000 HP, which, if you count into consideration the special, for example, of Roger, let's say, and that is dealing 2000 fixed damage. We have a Dofi with only 2400 damage HP, and with defense on level 5. And now if we actually just, for example, count the special, the second activation of Kizaru, probably the Dofi is gonna be dying. Also, we have to keep in mind that he is gonna probably have been targeted for some normal attacks. So let's just actually calculate how much the second activation of Kizaru will be dealing to the Dofi with the defense down level 5. So as you can see here, if Kizaru activates the Dofi with the defense down level 5, then he will be actually dealing almost close to 1500 damage, and the Dofi would just be left with 900 HP, which will probably not be there because he will have been targeted a couple of, at least a couple of times by normal attacks, and then probably like 3 or 4 times even. So probably the Dofi is gonna be dying even with without the special of Odin. Obviously, if the Odin activates, then he's basically dead, because at least he gets 1500 fixed damage, and then all the damage from the special. So yeah, as you can see, in the case of Dofi, it works. So if it worked in the case of Dofi, just imagine how it works in the case of the enemy Odin, because the enemy Odin has a really much lower defense stat than Dofi. So the even without the defense down, probably with the second activation of Kizaru, the Odin is gonna be dying. So this is a slasher team based a little bit around that you are not really that dependent on the special of Odin. Obviously, it's amazing if you get that off, but yeah, it's basically centers around that. So, but now without further ado, let's start talking about the targeting, the speed, and if the units are gonna be actually activating at the moment where they are supposed to, or much later, or stuff like that. So as you can see, I have written down a little bit of early predictions of how the attacks will be going, and as you can see, I'm covering actually 10 seconds of the battle. I could go on, but then as you go further and further, then it's most likely that you're gonna be missing on something, and that it's not gonna be turning out like that. But this is like pretty clear. So one thing that I want to mention is that I have been noticing that every attack of normal attack pattern lasts for 3 seconds, but when 1 second has passed, if there's no second attack going on, then the second attack starts. So basically, as you can see, it's going to be working out like that. At second 100, so the very beginning of the match, one unit is going to be attacking, and one second has passed, the second unit is going to be attacking. But now you have to wait for the first attack to end, so that's going to be at second 97, where the third attack is going to be starting. Then 1 second later, the second attack is going to be finishing, and then there's going to be the fourth attack. So as you can see, it follows a little bit a pattern like this. So it's every 2 sec so first it's 2 seconds in a row, there's 2 attacks starting, and then you have to wait 2 seconds, and then the same. So this is a very straightforward pattern, and it actually that is not RNG, that is actually how it works, at least in the starting, where there's no special activations and stuff. So for example, the last step that I have written, yes, it happens like that. At second 90, a unit is attacking, and it's the let me see, it's the 8th unit to attack. So this is how it's happening. So now the thing is, if you look at the speed stats and everything of the units, actually the units with highest speeds are my Odin and the enemy Odin. Now, one thing that you want to keep in mind is that the enemy Odin has a little bit of disadvantage, because if you're the attacking team, then if two units have the same speed, the unit that's gonna be attacking is gonna be the unit of the attacking team in general. So basically my Odin is gonna attack first, and as the enemy Odin is the unit with high speed, my Odin is gonna be attacking the enemy Odin. So that's already something to keep in mind. The enemy Odin is to get delayed. Yeah, so my Odin targets the enemy Odin. That's gonna always be happening be against a slasher team, obviously, because of the targeting of Odin. So that's what I meant by it's easier to predict what Odin and Kizaru are gonna be doing. So now the second attack, as you can see, as the second unit with high speed was the enemy Odin, but he just got delayed because he got targeted by a normal attack. It's gonna be actually Roger. Now the same thing applies. My Roger has the same speed as the enemy Roger, but my Roger is gonna be attacking first. Now the targeting of Roger is actually to target the closest enemies. So Roger will actually target the enemy Dofi if we are going up against a team where Dofi is in the first spot of the defense. So my Roger attacks Dofi at second 99, and then we have to wait 2 seconds for these two attacks to end, so for the attack of Odin to end, and then the next unit with high speed is attacking, and now it's the enemy Roger. So the enemy Roger attacks my Dofi because my Dofi is in the spot where he takes the most damage, and then once the attack of my Roger has finished, if we see again in the speed order, my Kizaru is actually the next unit that has the highest speed. The same applies. Their Kizaru also has that highest speed, but my Kizaru is in the attacking team. So my Kizaru is gonna be attacking, and then the enemy Kizaru. Now Kizaru attacks the unit with the highest attack. Now in a lot of teams that's actually the enemy Odin, but if it depends on in this particular part, it depends on if they have for example a limit break expanded unit or not. So if they have the Odin limit break expanded and the Roger isn't, then as I have written here, the Kizaru will target the enemy Odin. The same goes for if one unit is rainbow or stuff like that. So here I have gone with the Kizaru targets the enemy Odin, and then the enemy Kizaru targets my Roger because my Roger is the unit with the highest attack. Now, if Roger is the unit with the highest attack in the enemy team, my Kizaru is going to be targeting Roger. So that will change, because then that will mean that Odin will not get delayed the second time, and Odin will be attacking in some seconds, and not really after a lot of those seconds. So yeah, then the next unit is gonna be the enemy Law, which is gonna be targeting the Dofi in theory, if he didn't get knocked back or anything, because Dofi is still the unit that is in the spot where he takes the most damage, and as there's no attack going on to my Dofi, then the Law can attack my Dofi. And the next unit to attack is actually Mihawk. If you see, we are now in the 213 speed. So my Mihawk will target the enemy Dofi, because again, there's no attack going on to the enemy Dofi, so his spot is available. And that's gonna be second 91. Now here, it's actually where some units start attacking again. So this is a little bit of a tricky part, so that's where I stopped a little bit, but now I'm gonna be throwing up predictions. So one thing that I have checked is that once a unit has attacked, after around 5 to 6 seconds have passed, the unit appears again in the order of attacks, but it depends, I guess, on the speed. It depends on what placement do they enter in. For example, I have seen that a lot of units, after around 5 to 6 seconds of their attack, actually appear in the spot number 3 to 4 in the order of attacks, and then if they get targeted, they get delayed, or if they don't, then they will have to wait a couple or 3 attacks, and then they will actually attack. So if you add that up, that's gonna be around close to 10 seconds before the unit actually attacks again. So I'm gonna be using that pattern, so the 10 seconds after the unit attacks again, because normally I have seen in some matches that my Odin actually attacks again at second 90. So it's exactly 10 seconds after the first attack started. So as you can see here, with this first round of attacks, counting on that my Odin actually attacks, we could go on a little bit for some more seconds, but then it starts to get really tricky. But now, as you can see, we can start to predict when the unit is gonna be approximately attacking again. So my Kizaru attacked, for example, at second 96. So it's impossible that he attacks again earlier than that, earlier than 86, sorry. So at least 10 seconds after he has attacked for the first time. So at second 86, he is where he can actually be attacking again. And at second 86 or maybe 87, 13 seconds will have passed, so he will have the special ready and he will be activating. So if he attacks at second 86 or the 87, he will get the special ready and he will activate, and normally that's what happens. So let's see now the second unit, and let's see if the calculation that I did actually made sense. So my Mihawk attacked at second 91, so he's gonna be attacking again, assuming that's 10-second rules, around second 81. So that's only 19 seconds, and as you can see, the CT of my Mihawk is 21 seconds. So the thing is that we need our Mihawk to get targeted at least once in these 10 seconds, and that's probably gonna be happening because as you guys saw when I showed you the team, my Mihawk was actually not in the most in the spot where he gets targeted the most, but he was in the fifth spot, sorry, in the fourth spot. So that's like the together with the second spot, the two spots that get targeted the most after the third one in an attacking team. So my Mihawk probably will get targeted at least once, and that will allow him to delay him like 3 to 4 seconds, and he will be activating with a special ready around, I would say, second 78, 77, I would say, something like that. Now, after that, we have to see what units are gonna actually be able to activate around that time. So obviously, the same will go for the enemy Kizaru. The enemy Kizaru will activate probably right after my Kizaru activates. So that's not gonna be that relevant for our outcome of the match, but yeah, the enemy Kizaru will definitely activate. And now also keep in mind that now our specials will actually have attack up, our units will have attack up level 7 for the special of both of Kizarus. So yeah, but if we see the list of CT, the next closest unit is gonna be actually the enemy Roger with 21 seconds, and then both Dofis with 22 seconds. Now, keep in mind that both Dofis actually are in the spot where they get targeted the most, and neither of the Dofis has actually attacked yet. So around after second 90, both of the Dofis, so my Dofi and the enemy Dofi, are gonna be attacking probably like maybe at second 88, maybe 87, 89, something like that. Well, probably 88 maximum. So 88, 87, the Dofis are gonna start attacking. So that's gonna be actually the first attack that they deal. And obviously at second 88, 87, they are not gonna be having the special ready, and they are maximum gonna be attacking again at second 72nd or 77 or 78. So that is actually 22 seconds that will have passed, so the Dofi can actually activate. But just keep in mind that both of the Dofis are in the spot where they get targeted the most, so they will probably get delayed a little bit. So if they target, let's assume that every targeting that they get, it delays them by 3 seconds or maybe 4. So probably the Dofis will start to be close to activating around second 73, 72, 71, even second 70. So the Dofis, for the moment, we are gonna assume that they are not activating. They can activate at second 77, but only with the RNG, I would say, if a unit stayed in front of them, or if they got knocked back and they are not getting targeted. So if they are not getting targeted, they can most definitely activate when they have the special ready, but for the moment let's assume that they won. So the next unit that's going to be activating is going to be the enemy Roger, probably, because if we see the enemy Roger attacked at second 97, he will attack again then at second 87, so that's going to be 13 seconds that will have passed. And if we count 10 seconds more, second 77, then yes, he can actually activate really close to when he is charged. But keep in mind that a lot of people also put the Roger in a vulnerable spot because he has a relatively high defense stat. So probably he will get delayed a little bit, but I would say that the enemy Roger is gonna start to activate around second 76, something like that. So yeah, the enemy Roger is probably gonna activate, but as I said, this is not what we are trying to calculate, what the enemy team will deal. The important stuff is if we are gonna be actually able to get off the special of the second activation of the Kizaru or my Odin. So that's the important part. So as I said, my Kizaru actually activated at around 2nd 87, 88, or 86. So we have to add 12 more seconds to that. So my Kizaru is going to be ready probably again at second 74, something like that. So he's going to be able to probably activate around that time like that. So as you can see in the slasher versus slashers, the 5 seconds between 70 seconds and 75 seconds are really important, and they can actually decide the match. But it's actually kind of well planned because our important specials are around those 5 seconds. So the special of my Dofi, the special of Kizaru, the special of my Odin, the special of even Roger is gonna be able to activate around this 5-second mark. So these 5-second mark are actually, I would say, the most important moment of the match. But obviously they get influenced by how the targeting work in the first 10 to 15 seconds of the match. So that's what we are gonna try to do. So if we look at Kizaru, he should be actually able to activate around that time like that, because he activated at second 87, let's say, and actually he got to his normal spot, which is not one of the less vulnerable ones. So around second 77 he's going to be attacking again, but probably he's going to be getting targeted at least once. So probably that will allow him to be attacking close to where he is activating. And in the case of my Odin, as you can see, it's not looking that great because he attacked at second 90, and he's gonna be probably attacking against second 80, so that's only 20 seconds, so he will not have the special ready. But keep in mind that the enemy Odin is always gonna be targeting my Odin, so he's definitely gonna get targeted at least by Odin and probably by some other unit. So if you are lucky with some other unit targeting my Odin, then yeah, probably he will be activating when he is specially charged. But let's see now a match, and let's see how good of that we predict. Now as you can see, probably a lot of things will change if, for example, the enemy Odin has a lower stat than the enemy Roger, because it means that my Kizaru at second 96 is gonna be attacking the enemy Roger and not Odin. So that will mean that probably the enemy Odin will be attacking earlier, probably even before my Odin activates. So that's gonna delay my Odin, and that might actually allow my Odin to attack instead of at second 90, probably at second 90, 87, 86, and then that's gonna be allowing him to actually activate when he has the special ready. So some of that stuff you have to take into consideration, and maybe play a little bit with the placings so that you can try to predict when the units will actually be charging and attacking. So yeah, let's see a match and how it goes. So I managed to find a slasher team with the Dofi on the first spot. So one thing I want to mention is that the specials of the enemy Kizaru and Law are not completely maxed, but the important thing is the passive for this video to try to predict at least what's going to happen at the very first seconds of the match. So if we look at the attack stat, we actually want to see which unit has the highest attack stat. So probably it's gonna be Roger, but let's see if the enemy Odin has actually higher attack stat than that. No, so my Kizaru is gonna be attacking the enemy Roger. So that's gonna be something we want to take into consideration. But now let's start the match. So I'm gonna be playing this match at not at the high speed because I wanna be able to look at some stuff, but I'm also gonna be commenting after the match is over with half speed to see exactly the first seconds of the battle, what's happening actually and stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see, for what I'm seeing, things are going pretty much what I assumed. Actually, I think that the Kizaru is not guaranteed to attack the enemy with the highest attack, but at least an enemy with really high attack. So at least either Roger and Odin. Here, my Kizaru actually targeted Odin. So that's actually how I predicted it would be. So it's better for my prediction. As you can see, my Mihawk is about to activate at second 77 as I predicted, and he will activate actually now. Let's see if he actually targets some units. He targets Dofi, which is good. He misses on Odin, but Odin already got targeted on a lot of normal attacks, so he's already really low on HP. Now I get the special of Roger with the fixed damage. So let's see, I don't actually kill Odin, but probably now the second activation of Kizaru is happening, and as you can see, probably if he targets Odin, Odin is dead, and also the Dofi. And as you can see, really cool because we lowered the health of a lot of the enemy units with the special of Mihawk. And then the defense down and the special of Kizaru is already able to destroy the enemy team because they already have really low HP. And now we didn't even need the special of Odin, but now we get it, and now we just win the match because it's only Otama and a cost 1 unit, and we haven't even used the special of my Dofi. Because one thing that you want to keep in mind that I haven't mentioned, and I actually failed to mention, is that my Dofi is getting debuffed by the enemy law. So that's going to be a little bit harder to make him activate an attack because he has both lower speed and lower cooldown. But yes, I mean, as you can see, this team has worked out pretty well. So I'm going to be looking now at the match at half speed, and we're going to be seeing the first 10 seconds what happened and if my prediction was actually correct or not. So as you can see here, the video is going really slow because I want to be able to commentate on everything. So my Odin is attacking the enemy Odin, and as you can see, my Roger is attacking the enemy Dofi as I predicted. The enemy Roger is attacking the enemy Dofi exactly as I predicted, and my Kizaru is targeting the enemy Odin. The enemy Kizaru is targeting my Roger because he has the highest attack. The enemy Law is attacking my Dofi. My Mihawk is attacking the Dofi. So this is going exactly as I predicted, and my Odin is attacking the enemy Odin. So every of my prediction has been true. Maybe not the exact seconds because I think my enemy Odin attacked the enemy Odin at second 88, I think, but I think it started the attack at second 90, so that's what I predicted because, as I said, every attack is lasts actually for 3 seconds. So here, like, you could study it a little bit further and see actually that like try to predict what are going to be the next attacks, but it's harder because as long as you can see here, my Odin got knocked back. So this is kind of RNG stuff. It's what varies a little bit, and also the targeting of the special. As you can see, my Mihawk here, for example, didn't target the Kizaru, so Kizaru had a higher HP than all the other units and stuff like that. As you can see here, we are in the 5 seconds that are that important. We got there the special of Mihawk, the special of the enemy Roger, the special of my Roger, and now we are gonna also be getting there the special of my Kizaru. So as you can see, those 5 seconds are really important. And if, for example, the enemy Dofi had activated and or for example the enemy Kizaru had activated here, even though he is not charged right now, I would probably have struggled more. So I wouldn't say this team is kind of a counter to that variation of the slashers, but it works quite well because, as you can see, Kizaru just one-shots, so you don't even need the special of Odin to one-shot the enemy units. You just need the Kizaru. So here, as you can see, the Law and the enemy Kizaru didn't have the max special, but it wouldn't have made really that big of a difference because like 600 extra fixed damage wouldn't have changed anything here, and the same goes for the special of the enemy Kizaru. So even if, for example, even if my Odin had died here, a PP Whitebeard would have come in max in from the bench, and it wouldn't have made any difference because the important stuff was my Kizaru and the Mihawk and Roger and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this video gave you a little bit of an idea on how to try to predict how the match will go at the first seconds, and maybe try to predict when the units will be activating the specials or not. Obviously, every outcome changes with the positioning of the enemy team, with the stats of the enemy team and stuff like that. But in general, this method you can use it pretty accurately. As you guys saw, I actually predicted the first 10 seconds of the match, well 12, because the attack of Odin was lasting for 3 seconds. So yeah, I mean, being able to predict the first 12 seconds of the match is something that's actually quite useful, because you can see with that 10-second rule of when the unit will be attacking again after he already attacked, and seeing considering that every let's say attack that they get, and it delays moving by 3 to 4 seconds, you can actually try to predict if the unit is gonna be attacking right before charging their special or not, and if the unit is actually gonna be able to actually activate when they have the special ready. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and well, I gotta tell you that it would have been obviously really easy to first do the match and then like try to predict what I already saw that happen. It's not how that worked out. I actually just recorded first the prediction and then the match. So I mean, you gotta trust me on that, but well, I mean, you can just test it out if you want. If you have a similar slasher team with similar stats than mine, and you go against a slasher team with a Dofi in the first spot and probably a Roger in the second spot, you're gonna be able to see that the first 12 seconds are normally like that. Like first is your Odin attacking the enemy Odin, then it's your Roger attacking the enemy Dofi, the enemy Roger attacking your Dofi, and then the Kizaru attacking either Odin or Roger, probably Odin, but it sometimes can also happen that it attacks Roger, the enemy Kizaru attacking your Roger, and then the enemy with free law attacking your Dofi, and your Mihawk attacking the enemy Dofi. I think that's the most safe part. Then it depends on if your Kizaru attacked the Odin or a Roger, then maybe the enemy Odin will attack now and target your Odin and delay your Odin a little bit. Or if your Kizaru targeted the Roger, then maybe now, as it happened here, both in my prediction and in the video, your Odin will target the enemy Odin, will start the attack to the enemy Odin at second 90, and you will actually be probably seeing the attack at second 89, 88, something like that. So yeah, I hope you guys found that video useful, and obviously it's a lot of work to try to predict all this stuff for just a particular configuration of a team, but it's really useful if you have the time to be able to predict. For example, if you're trying to find a counter to a certain team, to predict if it's in general gonna be working or not. So I hope you guys found that video useful. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.